Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, Charles Morris, and this video is going to be focused on the incident that happened at Mary Piglet's, where Gabbi, Petito, and Brian Laundrie have ate at. I want to start with saying that if you think that you can just go in and start eating at places and think that you don't have to pay for anything, guess again. And we all know that if you don't end up paying for what you order when you walk out of a restaurant, they have the right to call the cops on you, because that is complete theft right there. If you think you can just walk into places, such as restaurant or fast food places, without paying for anything, you will get yourself arrested. Now, on the other hand, if they were offering something for free, and you came in there only to be in there for the free stuff, then that's a completely different story. But if it's not free, then it obviously is going to cost you money, and if you do not pay for it, then there's going to be a consequence, and that is jail time. So when you go into a restaurant, you actually are supposed to stay there. If you order something and you finish your meal that you ordered, then obviously you're supposed to stay put there at the restaurant and wait for the bill to show up at your table, and then you pay for it. You don't just go to some kind of restaurant and, walk out when you're completely done with your meal, and then walk out of the restaurant without paying for it. Okay? And, just get up, get in your car, and leave. Because if you just walk in there and you go to a restaurant, and when you're done with the order, with the meal that you ordered, and just walk out without paying for anything and that stuff, you're going to get yourself arrested, because that is theft. And let me just say, this is my... I strongly believe that you should pay for your meal at a restaurant when you're done for it, and you wait for your bill to show up at your table so that you can take care of paying for what you order. I know for a fact that if I never even paid for what I ordered at a restaurant and that stuff, I would be, I'd probably be getting myself a few years in jail for that. Because theft is wrong. And one of the 10 Commandments they say, thou shalt not steal. And that's something that I absolutely live by. That I wouldn't just walk into some place without having any cash on me and start to order something and expect to actually just get what I ordered without having to pay a single dollar out of my pocket. That's not how it works. If you don't have money to be paying for what you order at a restaurant and that stuff, then you shouldn't have obviously shown up at that place in the first place. You don't walk into a restaurant and empty-handed with like no cash in your pocket, because I can certainly say that that would definitely get you arrested. You need to have like some sort of payment to be able to pay for what you ordered when you go to a restaurant. And most of all, I don't ever do this, but I don't go into a restaurant and pay up and then, say that, hey, man or ma'am, that's my money, give it back. I wouldn't even go there with somebody and try to be, I wouldn't have like the attitude that, hey, that's my money, give it back. I wouldn't be like that toward people. I mean, obviously, if you give money to, if you pay for something and that stuff, you don't ask for that money back, because you know that almost everybody should know that if you ask for your money back after paying for what you've ordered or whatever, I'm sure you would probably be going to either jail. Anyway, let's get into this video. So Gabbi, Petito, and Brian Laundrie had a situation that happened in Mary Piglet's. It's a Mexican restaurant, and there was a witness that said that Brian Laundrie had yelled at Gabbi Petito, which to me would not be a surprise. It fit the description of what a narcissist does. So Gabbi Petito ended up crying in Mary Piglet's because Brian Laundrie yelled at Gabbi for some particular reason. I can imagine money had to do something with it. And Gabbi Petito, I would probably expect that she'd run out of the restaurant and couldn't take Brian Laundrie's behavior. And Brian Laundrie probably came out to, possibly try to calm Gabbi down or, make the situation much worse. And the server showed up out there in the streets and demand that they pay for what they ordered. So Gabbi Petito gives the money to the server, and then after Gabbi Petito gives her the money, she says that she wants that money back, and then the server's like, no, I'm not giving you the money back. You need to pay for what you ordered. This is what I mean when I say that you don't just walk into a restaurant and actually not pay for what you order, because that is theft, like I said many times. And what? You expect to just go into a restaurant and expect to just, not pay for your whole entire meal that you have? And think that you can just eat in the restaurants for free? That's not how it works. Like I said it before. If you go into a restaurant, be ready to actually be able to pay for what you order. And make sure you have cash on you before you go to restaurants. Because if you just walk in there and not pay cash for anything, they have the right to call the cops on you if you don't pay for what you order. Then the next thing on your mind, the next thing that you could probably expect to go to would be jail because you refused to actually pay for what you ordered. Now, in Gabbi Petito's situation, she said she wanted the money back, which I would imagine Brian Laundrie would have been pretty mad that Gabbi Petito was paying money for their meal. And this might lead up to, Brian Laundrie probably had enough with Gabbi Petito and decided to just either murder her in her van by strangling her to death and dumped her body out there in the field miles away from the van. So that might paint a pretty clear picture. The witness says that Brian Laundrie yelled at her and she started crying. Now, when the interviewer from News Nation interviewed the manager, she said she didn't really want to be on camera. She said that what you may have, what you've witnessed at this Mary Piglet's restaurant and this stuff is not clearly what happened here. There was no fights. There was no screaming. There was no crying. There wasn't anything. The manager just in my view, the manager may have been denying what was witnessed at that restaurant. If the witness told the manager what happened there at the restaurant between Gabbi Petito and Brian Laundrie, she probably would have came up and said, well, I didn't see it. No, this can't be true. No, there was nothing. There was no crying. There was no screaming. There was no yelling. So, why are you telling me this and stuff? If I didn't see it, then it's probably not true. Oh, really? Really? Okay, that's the kind of excuse you're gonna give people? Just because you don't see something, and a witness actually does witness something that you don't see, and that stuff, then it's probably gotta be true. So, yeah, hopefully that should clear up some things here. And that's what my video was focused on for. Please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, Charles Morris. And hopefully this helps people to understand exactly what was going on. The witness saw everything that Brian Laundrie was doing. And the manager may have not seen this happening and that stuff and just acted like nothing happened. So yeah, hopefully this clears up some things. that you would want to know about the Gabbi Petito and Brian Laundrie situation over there at the Mary Piglets. And this should be, I would imagine, would have been in court if Brian Laundrie were alive. But no, the man is dead. And he probably put himself to death in some manner. This is Charles Morris. Have a good day. I will see you all in the next video. And keep yourself out of domestic violence situations. Because in one of my videos I've mentioned keep yourself out of domestic violence situations, or you could end up being in that situation with a narcissist, and they could do whatever it is to kill you if they don't get their way with it, whatever, money, or they're sick and tired of your attitudes, or they just can't put up with you, and they probably be doing it when nobody's looking. It's best to be careful of that, and hopefully this video will help you, or a lot of my videos where I explain to don't get yourself in these kind of situations with a narcissist. Hopefully that helps people, because this is a big issue. And I'm pretty sure people got the big idea what domestic violence situations get you into. And being around a narcissist and dating a narcissist is pretty dangerous. And they could put you to death because they just can't put up with you. And this Gabbi Petito and Brian Laundrie situation is an example that people should actually look at and say, like, I better be careful not to get myself in these kind of situations and stuff. Or I know what would be along the way. Somebody could actually come up and actually try to strangle me to death. Somebody could actually come and try to murder me with a knife, or, something like that. It's best to be careful of this. And you want to keep yourself away from narcissists like Brian Laundrie. Have I been around people like that? Of course I have. And I know that I want to get out of those kind of situations and get as far away from them as possible. Because I don't want to be strangled or put to death by a narcissist. The same thing goes for this example with Brian Laundrie and the Gabbi Petito case. I want to stay out of these kind of situations with narcissists. I know what they are capable of doing, and I know what the consequence would be if I were to ever, let's say if I dated a narcissistic female, and if I knew exactly what would come along the way. I probably would get murdered. I probably would have to separate from that person for good. If there's a narcissist that I ever get myself around, or I actually get into a relationship with, and I didn't know at the time that I was dating a narcissist, Oh, yeah, one key thing. This whole video was focused on the Mary Piglet situation. If I was in a restaurant and I was in there with a narcissist, and if that same thing, that same incident that happened where the narcissist would actually yell at me for paying money and that stuff, I would not be liking the situation too well. I knew for a fact that I'd have to pay money for what I ordered, regardless of if I'm with a narcissist or not. And if they get mad at me, and they have a problem with me spending money on that stuff, that's their problem. That's not mine. It's Brian Laundrie's fault that he yelled at Gabbi Petito, and Gabbi Petito is part responsible for getting herself into a narcissistic relationship with Brian Laundrie. And look at the end result. Gabbi Petito was strangled to death. By whom? Brian Laundrie? Possibly. Are the police reports that show proof that Brian Laundrie murdered Gabbi Petito through strangulation? No, we know she strangled, but was it the fact that Brian Laundrie did it? No, but the key could have been the van. Maybe strangled her in the van and dumped her body off there in the field, hoping nobody would actually find the evidence. And look at what Brian Laundrie did. He probably gone out there and killed himself because he knew he was probably going to get the death penalty. And this happened in a federal park. So, in Wyoming, they probably get you the death sentence or convict you of, if they convict you of murdering, they give you the death sentence verdict. And once you're found guilty and they say that you need to be put to death, yeah, good luck on living with yourself. Because after law enforcement is supposed to take your life because you murdered somebody on federal property, or, in some state that if you commit like some kind of murder crime or whatever and that stuff, and their law says that the person who is found guilty is to be put to death and gets a death sentence, like if a judge orders a death sentence and that stuff, then obviously it's going to be too late to, go back and fix this all. When you commit the crime and the judge orders you to be put to death and that stuff, hopefully you may learn a big lesson. So anyway, the Mary Piglet situation was pretty bad. The manager acted like nothing happened. And, could the manager even hear somebody yelling when you're taking care of something? Probably in a restaurant, you'd probably be able to hear people yelling, but who knows? People just want to act like nothing really happened when a witness actually experienced something different. If she heard yelling from Brian Laundrie, and he was yelling at Gabbi Petito, then obviously I would agree with what the witness had experienced and not the manager. Because the manager may have not been paying attention to all this. And the witness who witnessed Brian Laundrie yelling at Gabbi Petito has had experienced this horrible situation that happened in the restaurant. So I'm going to go with what the witness had witnessed. And I'm going to leave it at there and know for a fact that Brian Laundrie did yell at Gabbi Petito because that's what he does. Because he's a narcissist. And him being a narcissist gives me a clue that Brian Laundrie would have yelled at Gabbi Petito. Because narcissists love to yell at their girlfriend, fiance, and their wife if they don't get their way with certain situations. And I'm gonna leave this video at that, and Gabbi Petito probably would have felt pretty frustrated that she had to pay up, and she asked for the money back from the server because she probably knew that Brian Laundrie was going to yell at her about money. Right. Hopefully that clears up the picture here, and you got a clear view of how Brian Laundrie was and how had been, and hopefully that will help people to know that Brian Laundrie was a narcissist. And I encourage people to stay away from people like him. And that is narcissistic people. And you'd never want to be dating people like narcissist people. Because in the end result, you probably might get put to death by them. This is Charles Morris. Have a good day. I will see you all in the next video. And stay out of narcissistic situations. Have a good day.